Mark Levin here. The post-election economy could be a minefield of inflation, massive debt, and currency instability. That's why I count on gold for my financial protection. When it comes to gold, I only trust Advantage Gold. They're one of the top gold companies in America, and that's who I turn to for my own investments. Call them now, 800-900-8000, for a free gold investment kit, and see if you qualify for $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Don't wait and see if post-election chaos destroys your savings. Act preemptively. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Would somebody explain something to me? The Democrats have told us there's no such thing as a woman. We had an associate justice to the Supreme Court, or would be, became Justice Jackson, who said she couldn't define what a woman is. And now we have a gap, they tell us, Mr. Producer. A gap when it comes to women voting for Kamala Harris. How can there be a gap when we don't even recognize the existence of women? I'm quite serious. What does this mean? I have no idea. Does anybody else? Okay, well, when you figure it out, you let me know. Now, Mark Cuban has exposed himself as a very, very stupid man. Now, he may be a multi-billionaire, maybe not. You had to get rid of the Mavericks to sell them to a real billionaire, and a real patriot, by the way, the Adelson family. But that aside, we have a problem here. The Democrat Party keeps trashing the American people. Neo-Nazis, fascists, garbage. And now Mark Cuban attacks any woman who surrounds Donald Trump and supports Donald Trump as stupid. As stupid. Now, this guy has a head the size of a refrigerator. And apparently it's quite empty. I don't know, is his wife stupid? She married him. Seems stupid to me. And Kamala Harris, when you're looking for somebody who's stupid, and may we identify her as a woman, can we do that? I think I will. That's stupid. Really stupid. How dare you? What do you mean, how dare me? It is what it is. Never received a single vote from any Democrat for anything until she was appointed the nominee. But I want you to hear from this guy. I want you to hear from him. I want you to understand, this guy is the biggest backer that Harris has, because he hates Trump more than he loves the country. Then you have Dougie Emhoff. You have AOC slobbering all over him, that he's an example of a real man. We don't need explanations from AOC what a man is. Not from her. She wouldn't know a man if she walked into one. That clown that she dates, I don't know who he is. He just kind of hangs around. That's not a man. That's a wimp. But we'll put that aside for now. Of course, she doesn't mention that Dougie Emhoff slapped a girlfriend so hard she lifted off the ground and went in a circle. No, that's okay. That's okay. When you abuse women and you're Doug Emhoff, that's okay. And where is the Me Too movement? Where's the Me Too, we're hypocrites movement? Nowhere. They back her and him no matter what. No matter what. And, of course, where is Mark Cuban in denouncing that? They don't. Because they're not really part of a Me Too movement. They're part of a screw you movement. They just want power. Just power. Here he is on The View, of all places. Now, they're smart women, right? On The View. With Alicia Farah Griffin. She's a real Betadine Arnold, really. She's a disgrace. Her father, poor guy, he knows she's a disgrace. She's a grifter. She used to work for Trump. I guess she was an idiot, too. Seems like an idiot. Cut 9, go.
Do you think having people like Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, and other Republicans with Kamala Harris...
Wow, Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, that's a wide swath of the Republican Party right there. Wouldn't you say, America? Ooh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
...over the edge with these Nikki Haley supporters.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it'll...
By the way, these Nikki Haley supporters, what is this? What is this? She came in third in Iowa. Trump cleaned her clock in New Hampshire. What is all this Nikki Haley stuff? If you Nikki Haley supporters want to back Harris, want to help destroy the country, want to destroy women's sports, want an open border where there's sexual slavery like we've never seen before, if you're okay with inflation and food prices going up, I can't stop you. But Nikki Haley, all of a sudden, Nikki Haley's like an idol. Go ahead.
With Nikki Haley supporters, Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women, ever. It's just that simple. They're intimidating to him. He doesn't like to be challenged by them.
You're really a dumbass. You really are. You really are. He's got so many smart women around him. He's got so many smart women who support him and are voting for him. Very smart. Smarter than you big jerk. This is how they attack people. It's a put-down operation. You know, they say they're going to unite the country. She says she's going to represent everybody. No, she's not. She never has, and she never will. She was radical even by San Francisco standards, even by California standards, even by Bernie Sanders standards. Sanders is a Stalinist. She's a Trotskyite. That's exactly what's going on here. So this guy, we now have this misogynist statement. Unless you support Harris, you're stupid. Then, for the rest of the country, you're garbage. You don't support us, you're garbage. Oh, and by the way, those of you who want the Madison Square Garden and beyond, well beyond, even you Orthodox Jews who are supporting Trump, you're neo-Nazis. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. I've never seen anything like this. These people not only don't deserve the win, they deserve to be crushed at the ballot box. They hate this country. They hate the people of this country, we the people. They're the anti-Americans. America was founded on the basis of we the people. You can't despise the American people, call us these names, treat us like this, and then want to lead us. I am telling you, there's a reason the border's open, because these people hate us in government. This is, in fact, the ruling class against the rest of us. You got this big fathead jerk, this guy, Cuban. Hey, Cuban, why don't you go back to Cuba? Ha ha, why don't you? But you understand what I'm saying, folks? They disrespect you. They despise you. They're going to control you. They're going to take your money from you. Yes, they're going to attack your churches and your synagogues. You got to have allegiance to the party. And when the party controls the state, you have to have allegiance to the party in the state. I want to read something to you. I want you ladies in the suburbs, I've been talking to you now for 2 days. where Kamala Harris believes she has her big base, you women in the suburbs. And I've talked about this at length. I heard somebody on Fox talk about it today. Finally, somebody picked it up. Kamala Harris doesn't stand for women's rights. She talks about abortion. And she lies about it. She wants to upset you. She wants you to be passionate and emotionalized by the whole thing. She wants you to believe Donald Trump's going to sign a bill banning abortion in the country. First of all, that would violate the Constitution's Dobbs decision. Secondly, it'll never get through Congress. Thirdly, he said he's not, never will. But she keeps saying it. She even went further in her Castro-like speech a couple of nights ago. In her Castro-like speech, she said Donald Trump wants to take away your contraceptives. Where did he say that, Mr. Producer? He never said that. He doesn't even care about that. Or IVF. He supports that. He said over and over again. He supported it before Kamala Harris came out for it. So they're running on lies, and you women are buying it. Not all of you. You smart women aren't. Just the dumb ones, according to Mark Cuban, to turn a phrase. But I've explained before, when it comes to girls' sports and women's sports under Title IX of the 1972 Education Amendment to the 1964 Civil Rights Act, you have a Civil Rights Act protection to support women's and girls' sports, athletics. Because guess what? They want opportunities, too, to go to colleges and universities on scholarships. They want opportunities to get into professional sports, too. We've made great, great advances until Kamala Harris and Donald Trump came to town. Until they came to town. And so now boys can play in girls' sports and men can play in women's sports, so women can't win. Here's a piece in the New York Post. Listen to this. The staggering number of medals female athletes lost to trans opponents revealed in an explosive UN report. The study titled Violence Against Women and Girls in Sports, wow, stated that more than 600 female athletes have been bested at various events by competitors who were born male. According to information received by March 30, 2024, over 600 female athletes in more than 400 competitions have lost more than 890 medals in 29 different sports. So about 900 medals have been lost by women because of trans athletes. Harris and Biden have signed an executive order, which is illegal. You can't amend a law by an executive order, but they did it anyway, to impose trans athletes into women's and girls' athletics. That's what they did. It's the greatest attack on women's independence, women's athletics, women's opportunities for scholarships and other grants based on merit ever in a half century. And you women in the suburbs, you're going to vote for this person? You know, my wife Julie pointed out today, you mothers out there in the suburbs, all over the country, but I'm focused on the suburbs. You take your kids to sporting events, to practices, to actual competition. You put them in the car, you lug them to these events, you take care of them, you get them their uniforms, their various sneakers and so forth. You bring them their snacks. It's a routine. It's a family routine, especially in the suburbs, but all over the country. You want them to excel. You want them to compete. You want them to do the best they can and learn sports and learn, esprit de corps. Now you're going to vote for people who are destroying the whole thing. Destroying the entire thing. Boys and girls sports and men in women's sports. It's even worse than that. The locker room is not a place purely for girls or women. And now boys and men can go into locker rooms. They can go into the bathrooms. That's what they did to Title IX. And so Tampon Tim puts tampons in the boys' bathrooms. Why? Not for transgender athletes. So girls can go into boys' bathrooms and boys can go into girls' bathrooms. There's no barriers anymore. There's no barriers anymore. So Harris and Biden are destroying single-handedly athletics for girls and women. Destroying them. And they're exposing them in locker rooms and in bathrooms to boys and to men. And she says she stands for women And she stands for girls because she wants abortion on demand right there in the birth canal. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
The upcoming election isn't just about choosing leaders. It's about bracing for the economic fallout that could follow. You know, history shows that post-election periods can bring economic turmoil. But this time, with our national debt skyrocketing and global tensions rising, we could be facing unprecedented risks. We could see runaway inflation or even a currency crisis. That's why I encourage people to diversify and look at gold as a financial safety net. Gold has been said to be a reliable wealth shield for thousands of years through some of the worst economic storms. And for my gold investments, I trust Advantage Gold. They're who I buy from exclusively, and I recommend them to anyone serious about helping to protect their wealth. You can call them right now at 800-900-8000, 800-900-8000 for a free gold investment kit to see how you can get started with gold. You can even qualify for up to $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Call them now. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. You'll be happy you did. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. I had a very nice chat with J.D. Vance a couple hours ago. I want to play that for you at the bottom of the hour. The guy is really good. He's really good. Donald Trump yesterday said in Green Bay, Wisconsin, which apparently offended Kamala Harris. I guess Kamala, of course, is one of the stupid women, as Mark Cuban would say. Let's go to, cut 7, go.
And my people told me about 4 weeks ago, I was saying, no, I want to protect the people. I want to protect the women of our country. I want to protect the women. Sir, please don't say that. Why? They said, we think it's very inappropriate for you to say, so why? I'm president. I want to protect the women of our country. They said. They said, sir, I just think it's inappropriate for you to say, pay these guys a lot of money. Can you believe it? I said, well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. I'm going to protect them. I'm going to protect them from migrants coming in. I'm going to protect them from foreign countries that want to hit us with missiles and lots of other things.
And apparently that's controversial to Kamala Harris. Why is it controversial? These people are not just confused. They are sickening morons. And so we learned today on The View, according to her big supporter, Mark Cuban, that if you support Trump and anybody around Trump, he doesn't like strong women. So Mark Cuban is projecting, and he is a complete clown, misogynist, in my humble opinion. Then we have Kamala Harris saying that Donald Trump saying, I'm going to protect women. That's very misogynistic. I don't know what world she lives in. Not a good one. Somebody needs to protect her, I think, from her husband. I just wonder about that from time to time. If somebody's going to hit a woman, I don't think it's the first time. Do you, Mr. Producer? I really don't. I really don't. And to smack them so hard when they're not ready, a woman? A guy smacking a woman? Don't you think we should protect women from a guy like Dougie Emhoff? I think we should. But that whole Hollywood mindset, you know, Me Too movement, the guys are wimps. They're cowards. They're buffoons. That's what they are. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. Folks, we may be standing on the precipice of a post-election economic meltdown. Any election can send shockwaves through our financial system, but this time, the stakes could be higher than ever. Reckless spending, mounting debt, misguided policies has set the stage for potential economic disaster. We can see rapid inflation or even attempts to undermine our currency. That's why I've always relied on diversification and gold for protection. It's been said to be a timeless safeguard against economic chaos, and in these uncertain times, it's more crucial than ever. ever. When it comes to gold, I trust Advantage Gold exclusively. They're one of the top gold companies in America, and they're who I turn to for my own investments. Call 800-900-8000 right now for a free gold investment kit to see how gold can help protect you from post-election chaos. You might even qualify for $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. You know, it's a great pleasure to have J.D. Vance, who is sharp as hell. You see him on the campaign trail. He'll stand up to anybody. He really eviscerates them with logic and common sense. J.D. Vance, I watched this speech that Kamala Harris gave. She talks about Trump has an enemies list. He's going to use the military against the people. Tax cuts for billionaires and corporations, a 20% national sales tax. He's going to cut Medicare and Social Security. She's a pathological liar. Does she think this is going to work?
I don't know, Mark, but you're right. She's a pathological liar. I mean, everything that you just said from that she has argued is a lie. And, she's just plainly unable to run on her own record. She doesn't have the ability to say, well, my policies lower the price of groceries, or my policies lower the price of housing, or my policies secure the southern border, because her policies had the exact opposite effect. And so she's trying to run on this caricature of Donald Trump and Republicans. But I think the American people are smart enough to reject it and recognize that when you have the sitting vice president who has no record and no accomplishments to speak of, that's a reflection on her. And we're going to find out, of course, in the next 5 days. But I'd encourage everybody who wants to reject this kind of politics to get out there and vote for Donald Trump for president.
You know, J.D. Vance, she keeps saying she comes from a middle-class family. I guess so. She had 2 PhD professor, tenure professor parents. I guess that's middle class. You really come from a dirt poor situation in Appalachia. Look what you've done business-wise. You joined the military. Look at you politically and so forth. You are the American dream, aren't you? She's trying to pretend that she has some kind of a record similar to you.
There's definitely some element of that, Mark, where she's trying to pretend that she can empathize with the story of most Americans. And of course she can't. I mean, most Americans didn't grow up in a household with a Marxist professor as a parent. But I think a lot of what people are rejecting is, people will ask her these questions, Mark, and she'll say, well, I grew up in a middle-class family. And then they'll ask her, how are you going to lower the price of groceries? And she'll say, well, I grew up in a middle-class family. And how are you going to close down the southern border? Well, I worked at McDonald's. And you realize when you listen to a person talk, she has no ideas for how she's going to govern the country. She has no plans, no policies. If you get her away from the slogans, she can't even speak in understandable English because she doesn't have any idea what she wants to do. President Trump has made this argument about Kamala, Mark, that I think is very important and very accurate, which is that she's not really running for president of the United States. She's basically running to be the head of a machine, the machine that is geared towards American decline, geared towards open borders, geared towards the destruction of American founding principles. But she's basically a figurehead. And when you listen to her talk, you realize that what is most worrisome, it's not just Kamala Harris, it's the 100 bureaucrats that are going to be standing behind her actually implementing the policies of the government, because she doesn't have any idea what she wants to do.
The other thing is this. I've never heard of a candidate who runs for office where she or her campaign or surrogates are calling tens of millions of Americans neo-Nazis or fascists, with her boss calling them garbage. I mean, this really is a race of the ruling class in Washington, D.C. versus the people, isn't it?
That's exactly right, Mark. And you're right. I don't know that I've ever seen. Of course, Hillary Clinton with the basket of deplorables comment came pretty close in 2016. Besides that, I've never seen a candidate for president attack a large segment of the American population. Donald J. Trump and I asked for this. Criticize us all you want to. Kamala Harris asked for this, and we certainly do criticize her a lot. But the American people, you have to try to persuade them and not attack them. And if you look at her campaign messaging, there's this element where she's judging the American people, attacking the American people, looking down on them for daring to recognize that Kamala Harris has done a bad job. The border is wide open, and Kamala Harris will say, well, if you notice that, you're a racist. And, of course, people can't afford groceries. And if people criticize her, they'll say, well, you're a dummy. You don't know how the economy works. Or if you gather in celebration of American ideals and American freedom, Tim Walz will call you a fascist, or Joe Biden will call you garbage. And Kamala Harris, she is sitting at the top of this machine. They hate the American people. The Democratic leadership cannot stand that the American people are smart enough to recognize that their policies have been a failure. And so, again, instead of saying this is how we're going to make your life better, they're deciding to attack their fellow Americans. I've never seen it happen in a major party presidential candidate, where the message isn't, here's how I'm going to make your life better. The message is, if you dare notice that Kamala Harris is a failure, you're a bad person. I don't know who that's supposed to persuade.
Kamala Harris, I don't care if you call her borders are, she's certainly the vice president. She can speak out, the number 2 in the executive branch. We have massive sex slavery going on the southern border, mostly people of color, by the way. They've lost track of 325,000 unaccompanied minors. She never has talked about it. She's never talked about the worst slavery situation since the Civil War under her watch, or the whereabouts of hundreds of thousands of children. Isn't that kind of cold-blooded?
It's very cold-blooded, Mark, and in some ways it's even worse than that, because what they'll do is they'll accuse Donald Trump of wanting to engage in child separation. And what they mean by that, of course, is simply that if you're a criminal or you're a violent illegal immigrant and Donald Trump arrests you, like obviously that person who's arrested is going to be separated from their family members. They ignore the fact that there are 325,000 missing children. The real family separation policy is Kamala Harris's open border. And you're exactly right. I mean, this is medieval levels of evil stuff happening in our country. It doesn't belong anywhere near a civilized society. But the Mexican drug cartels, from sex slavery to mass drug trafficking to human trafficking to physical slavery, these guys have reintroduced some of the most barbaric practices in human history into our country. It's happening right underneath our noses, sometimes in plain sight of our fellow Americans, and Kamala Harris seems not to care about it. And, Mark, I would respect her, actually, if she just said, you know what, we tried the open border stuff. It was crazy. I made a mistake. Let's go back to rationality. I would actually respect that. She can't do that. So instead, again, of admitting her own failures or trying to advance an alternative policy, she just attacks Trump. But most importantly, she attracts Trump's voters, which I think is really disgraceful.
You know, J.D. Vance, I don't understand why Americans are supposed to rely now on Kamala Harris to fix what they've done. It's the most bizarre argument. She's not going to reverse course. She was the most radical senator in the United States. She cast about 33 times to change these tie votes in the Senate, including this outrageous massive inflation bill. And it goes on and on and on. She was not a bipartisan senator. She did not work with the Republicans. She was an extremist. She attacked the ICE, called them Klansmen. She's attacked and supported defunding the cops. She hasn't voted for a single pay increase for a single military service person. She is all these radical things. Isn't that kind of why she talks these word salads in part? Not because she's only not that bright, which I would say she's not, but because what the hell is she going to say?
That's a good point, Mark. I think she does hide what she actually believes, and that's one of the reasons why she uses these word salads. You're exactly right. She doesn't have a bipartisan record of accomplishment to speak of. There's no piece of legislation with Kamala's name on it where she can say, hey, I did this thing. It was broadly popular, and it made your life better, most importantly. Again, so she's become an attack dog. I mean, think about this. She's a sitting vice president. Americans can't afford groceries. They can't afford housing. We've had fentanyl that's overwhelmed our communities, and there isn't a single thing that she can point to that she has done to solve these problems. In fact, she is the source of many of these problems. And sometimes, Mark, as you know, politics can be very complicated. Some of these issues are very complex. But the simple theory that I have of this election is Kamala Harris broke it. Donald Trump will fix it. Donald Trump is going to fix this stuff by implementing some common sense back in government. And I'd encourage, again, every American, get out there and vote. Swamp the vote. We've got to make sure that this kind of disgusting politics, where instead of running on your achievements, you run on attacking your fellow citizens, we cannot reward this, because if we do, the Democrats are going to get even worse.
I talk about the Constitution a lot on this program. They want to eliminate the Electoral College so 11 blue states will choose the president. They want to eliminate the filibuster so they can give Puerto Rico and D.C. 2 senators. That would be 4 Democrat senators. We'd never win the Senate again. They want to pack the Supreme Court, which is intentionally supposed to be independent. You know, at the core of our Constitution, you know this, J.D. Vance, is separation of powers, power versus power. And she has proposal after proposal, as does her party, to destroy checks and balances, to destroy those things so they can ram through this radical agenda. And if you don't win, and if we don't take the Senate, and if we don't hold the House, that's exactly what they're going to do. You know, this isn't a white paper election. This is for all the beans, isn't it?
That's exactly right, Mark. They're bragging about it. They're bragging about fundamentally changing the Constitution, using the additional senators of D.C. and Puerto Rico to pack the Supreme Court, effectively eliminating any of the checks and balances that exist in our system. And you have to ask yourself, why do they want to do it? Like, why do they want to destroy the checks and balances in our system, Mark? It's because they want to do things that they know the American people would never stand for. When we talk about funding gender transition surgeries for illegal aliens, when we talk about opening the southern border, when we talk about, tax rates where 50% or 60 cents on every dollar that you make is going to the federal government, plus whatever goes to the state and local government, this is the end of America as we know it. And she's bragging about this stuff. I've never seen this in my life, Mark, a politician bragging about wanting to increase your taxes, a politician bragging about using taxpayer money to fund sex changes for illegal aliens. She wants to do all this stuff. She's told us she wants to do all of this stuff, and she's told us she's willing to set the Constitution on fire to the extent that it serves as a check on her power. So she wants to do this stuff, and we have one opportunity, Mark, one opportunity to stop it, and that opportunity is in 5 days.
We must vote. We can't wring our hands after the fact. We got to vote big and make sure we crush them politically. We must vote, America. You know, J.D. Vance, it's really been good to get to know you a bit, to read your book, which I hadn't done. Actually, my wife was reading it to me. I said, he did what? And you're really an incredibly important partner running with Donald Trump here, and you'd be a fantastic vice president. I want my audience, if you can't vote early now, vote on Election Day, but vote for God's sakes. We wish you all the best. Stay safe.
Thank you, Mark. Take care, man.
You too. That's J.D. Vance. What a fantastic guy, really. As I've gotten to know about him more and more, you've seen him, you hear him now. What a fantastic vice presidential candidate and vice president he will make. Ladies and gentlemen, it's so crucial that you vote. Look at the quality of our candidates and look at theirs, for God's sakes. Kamala Harris? Tim Walz? Are you kidding me? I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
The upcoming election isn't just about choosing leaders. It's about bracing for the economic fallout that could follow. You know, history shows that post-election periods can bring economic turmoil. But this time, with our national debt skyrocketing and global tensions rising, we could be facing unprecedented risks. We could see runaway inflation or even a currency crisis. That's why I encourage people to diversify and look at gold as a financial safety net. Gold has been said to be a reliable wealth shield for thousands of years through some of the worst economic storms. And for my gold investments, I trust Advantage Gold. They're who I buy from exclusively, and I recommend them to anyone serious about helping to protect their wealth. You can call them right now at 800-900-8000, 800-900-8000 for a free gold investment kit to see how you can get started with gold. You can even qualify for up to $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Call them now. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. You'll be happy you did. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. I should say, strong conservative women strike back against what should we say, Mr. Producer? Spaghetti spine Mark Cuban. He doesn't strike me as a very tough guy. Let's see what they say here at Fox. Mark Cuban, I've been a CEO and professional sports team owner just like you, says former Senator Kelly Loeffler. In response to Cuban, I'm one of the millions of strong conservative women who back Trump. You might think we're stupid or that we're garbage. We think it's time to replace you and Kamala with leaders who don't hate us. This is so true and well said. Well said. And she's not the only one, of course. Let's see here if I can scroll down fast enough. More of the same condescending rhetoric from Harris allies, says Senator Joni Ernst, Republican Iowa. This strong, intelligent woman voted for Donald Trump. She's been in the military. And I've been proud to be on the road across the great country with Team Trump. Trying to think of a response to a sissy man, Mark Cuban, but I'm too dumb and weak to do so, quipped conservative columnist Julie Kelly. I love our women. They're fantastic. You know what? The women in my family are tough as nails. And they're all Trump supporters. Tough as nails. Yeah. Let's see. Do we have anybody else here? I think we do. But I don't have time to read them through. All of you can post, too. You know, the clown's on Twitter, I think. Isn't he, Mr. Producer? Mark Cuban? You ought to give him a piece of your mind. Now, you know, don't be rude, but you can give him a piece of your mind because he deserves it. He's really a lowlife, to be perfectly honest with you. He's a complete fraud. New York Post, Puerto Rican veteran blasts Biden for trashing Trump supporters. Garbage literally flies out of his mouth, he said. You see, the Puerto Rican people, they're not buying this crap from Biden and Kamala Harris. Those two haven't bent a finger for the Puerto Rican community or any other community for that matter. A Puerto Rican woman trashed President Biden for calling Donald Trump supporters garbage after J.D. Vance rally Wednesday at Aurora Airport in southwest Pennsylvania. Biden is a bumbling idiot, point blank. He starts talking and then garbage literally flies out of his mouth, said Jesse Anderson, a decade-long Army veteran from nearby Johnstown. That's right. Though Anderson, whose mom was born in Puerto Rico, believes podcast host Tony Hinchcliffe is insulting. She doesn't blame the president for it. Because she's smart. That's why. One of the smart ones, wouldn't you say, Mark Huber? Look at your pockets. Look at the price of food. How much are you spending, she asked, using the Spanish word for stores. Trump is an absolute force of peace, power, and success. Get out and vote for him. Our nation needs him. Our pockets need him, she said. And she blasted Biden for slandering Trump and his supporters. Damn right. And there's others who've jumped in who are Puerto Rican heritage, who aren't buying this crap either. See, they want to play us. They want to play women. Yeah. They want to play Puerto Ricans. They want to play young black men. They expect all these people to be in the Democrat Party camp, period. That's it. And so they're going right to the lowest denominator. I didn't say common, to the lowest denominator. For the reason of what? For the reason of getting out the vote, because she's as vapid as they come. And yet she's a radical, hardcore leftist, but she's vapid because she doesn't want people to know where she really stands. I'm telling you. By the way, Joy Behar, not reprimanded for exposing Sarah Haynes' lesbian relationship on The View, says a source to the New York Post. That's quite a set there, The View, don't you think, Mr. Producer? You got Karen there, you got grifters there, you've got a woman whose ancestors owned slaves. You got all kinds of stuff going on in that View. I'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. This is the piece I meant from Blaze Media. Excuse me. Puerto Rican NFL player defends Trump rally joke, says liberal outrage is only for political gain. This guy's smart. What team does he play for here? It looks like San Francisco. Lineman John Feliciano. That's what. San Francisco 49ers offensive lineman said those claiming to be offended by a joke about Puerto Rico at a Donald Trump rally are pushing an agenda. Now, during Trump's star-studded rally at Madison Square Garden, roast comedian Tony Hinchcliffe caused the liberal meltdown. Feliciano, who's half Puerto Rican, remarked that he felt the outrage was largely feigned because it helped certain people politically. He said, quote, "The only Puerto Ricans that are mad about Tony Hinchcliffe's joke are mad because it helps push their agenda." He wrote on X, "Tony's joke was so soft compared to his usual material." Everybody knows who this comedian is. I do not. They say he's like the newer Don Rickles. The Miami native was responding to a fan who said Feliciano seemed to be down with Joey Bosa wearing a MAGA hat, while linking to Hinchcliffe's joke, seemingly an attempt to display the joke as dangerous or harmful. Feliciano had recently shared a video that showed teammate Joey Bosa crash a post-game interview wearing a Make America Great Again hat. When asked later by reporters, Bosa said he felt it was an important time to show his political leanings. You know, here in America, if you support Trump and you're in one of these sort of entertainment fields, you really take your career and put it on the line if you voice the First Amendment, your right to support somebody. And then you get the treatment. You must be a neo-Nazi. You must be garbage. You must be a stupid woman. I just don't think Americans are going to put up with this crap. Do you? These billionaires, these Hollywood types, these stupid politicians talking down to you and me. How dare they? Obviously, in retrospect, by the way, Jon Stewart came to the guy's defense, too. I don't see anybody attacking Jon Stewart. Does anybody see that? Additionally, the Puerto Rican mayor of Keller, Texas, came out in defense of Trump. For Latinos, faith, family, and economic opportunity motivates us, not some bad joke by a comedian, said Armin Mazzani. Yeah. They quote Rubio here, too, but last time I checked, I think he's Cuban, isn't he, Mr. Producer? Yes, I think he is. So that's all BS. I want my Jewish friends out there, everybody listening, of course, but I want you to listen to this. Some of you still aren't sure who you're going to vote for. Stupidly, moronically. It's not even a close call. You have somebody who supports the jihadis and you have somebody who hates the jihadis. I mean, how hard is that? But I want you to listen to this piece by Adam Credo in the Washington Free Beacon. You ready? This is important. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who's Jewish, quietly advised Columbia University's leaders during the height of the Hitler Youth March to, quote, keep heads down, unquote, and ignore congressional criticism of the school's handling of campus anti-Semitism. Ready? Telling former university president Moshe Shafik that the school's, quote, political problems are really only among Republicans, unquote, according to a new House Committee on Education and Workforce report. So let's get this straight. The Democrat Party majority leader in the United States Senate, in charge of all the committees and everything that hits the floor, when Jewish kids were running for their lives, when they were hiding in their dorms, when they were locking themselves in libraries, when they were being beaten and spat upon, when their Jewish garb was being ripped, what was Chuck Schumer's response to the president of Columbia and these other Ivy League schools? Quote, keep heads down. Keep your heads down. Quote, these are political problems. They're really only among Republicans. You got that, voters? You got that? The committee's 300-page report stems from more than a year of interviews and over 400,000 pages of internal documents produced by elite schools like Columbia, Harvard, Yale, Northwestern, University of California, and L.A. It demonstrates by producing the private emails and text messages of university leaders how they failed to protect Jewish students as anti-Semitic mobs, a.k.a. jihadis and the Marxists, seized their campuses in the wake of the Hamas October 7 terror spree. It also reveals that Chuck Schumer advised the president of Columbia to tune out the criticism she was receiving from House Republicans. Tune it out. Shafika resigned from her post in August amid a series of anti-Semitism scandals that roiled the school. Texted Board of Trustees co-chairs David Greenwald and Claire Shipman, I wonder if that's Stephanopoulos' wife, to inform them that she had met with Schumer And the top Senate Democrat, according to text messages obtained by the committee, quote, advised Shafik, that's the president of Columbia, that universities' political problems, as a quote, are really only among Republicans, and recommended the best strategy is to keep their heads down. So it's really only Republicans who are coming to the defense of America and to these Jews who are being chased down in the streets. Chuck Schumer said it's a Republican issue. Keep your heads down. You got that, New York, for God's sakes, finally? Where's the Anti-Defamation League? Where's that jerk Jonathan Greenblatt, the Obama appointee? Is he going to condemn Schumer? Of course not. He's too busy defending an anti-Semite, Mehdi Hassan. Good job there, you schmuck. Now, when asked, Schumer and his staff indicated they did not believe it was necessary, I'm quoting, for the university's leaders to meet with Republicans. Greenwald echoed this, writing in response, if we are keeping our head down, maybe we shouldn't meet with the Republicans. In the text published in the report, Shafik, the president of Columbia, identifies Schumer as, quote, very positive and supportive, and quite the storyteller, and quite the sleazeball. Days later, text messages showed Greenwald sent his predecessor, Jonathan Levin, a New York Times article on the committee's aggressive and expansive investigation into institutions of higher education. Quote, let's hope the Democrats win the House back, he wrote. Absolutely, Greenwald responded. So here we have academia. Here we have some of the Jews in academia. Here we have the majority leader, the Senate, a Jew, hoping that the Republicans lose the House so there's no oversight of the anti-Semitic activity at these colleges and universities. You got that? Now, Schumer's private assessment differed from the public one he offered months later because he is a sleazeball. When anti-Israel students launched the encampment that took over Columbia's Morningside Heights campus and eventually led to the violent storming of a campus building, at that point in late April, Schumer criticized the protesters as lawless. Wow. Such a man. AOC would love him. Oh, yes. He's such a man. Just like Dougie Emhoff in many ways. The text from Shafik and her board co-chairs, the committee wrote in its report, showed that university leaders viewed anti-Semitism as a PR issue rather than a campus problem. And, of course, Schumer viewed it as a Republican PR problem. Neither Columbia nor Schumer immediately responded to requests for comment. We have asked that puke Schumer on this report underscores what has long been known about the anti-Israel protest movement on college campuses across the country, that it was permitted to operate unabated in flagrant violation of university policies, culminating in widespread encampments and pro-Hamas demonstrations. But it also shows that university officials were afraid from the drop of offending Muslim and pro-Palestinian students on campus, tailoring their statements in the wake of October 7. What are you afraid of, for God's sakes? And it goes on, but the reason I read this to you is because of Schumer. Schumer, the sleazeball. Yes, yes, all the Jews in New York backing Schumer, the donors who are Jewish backing Schumer, Schumer telling them how he supports Israel. Schumer, during the height of the anti-Semitic attacks on the Jews at these universities, told these universities, just keep your head down. The Republicans are trying to make a big issue out of this. Then they're writing each other, oh, yeah, let's get the Democrats to take the House. Then this will stop. You got it? You got it? You still going to vote Democrat? Yeah, Democrat. My mom did. My dad did. Oh, for God's sakes. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
The big wireless carriers want to limit you to two choices when it comes to data, unlimited or unlimited. And guess what? Both are stupidly expensive. So, folks, stop overpaying for data you're never going to use. That's like paying for a pot of coffee when you only need a cup, or filling your entire truck bed full of gas when you only need a tank. With Pure Talk, my cell phone company, you get to choose how much data you actually want. Listen to this. For just $25 a month, get unlimited talk, text, and 5 gigs of data, which is more than enough, plus mobile hotspot. Folks, stop overpaying for wireless and get America's best 5G coverage with Pure Talk. Go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's puretalk.com/Levin. Switching is easy. There's no contract. There's no activation fees. You can even keep your phone and your number. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin, Levin, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month when you sign up with Pure Talk. We have our friend Rick Scott, senator from Florida, with us this evening. And Rick Scott's in a big battle because they're pouring millions of dollars into Florida to lie about Rick and lie about his opponent. Rick Scott, how are you, my friend?
Mark, it's fascinating. Why don't the Democrats just own what they believe? Why don't they just own it, that they want high taxes, big government, tell you what to do, Green New Deal? I mean, why don't they just own it? This is what they all believe in, but they sit here and they do all that stuff. Then when it's campaign season, they lie, and then they lie about Republicans. They say, I'm going to raise your taxes. Well, actually, I cut taxes 100 times while I was governor. So
you were governor, for God's sake. Yes. Go ahead.
I mean, it's fascinating.
They're liars. That's why they have to raise all this money. That's why these billionaire Democrat oligarchs, they got to turn you into something you're not and turn her into something she's not. They want you to think they're moderates and they're compassionate and they have common sense when they're radical left-wing bomb throwers. Now, your opponent, let's have her name. Tell us about her.
Her name is Debbie Mercosur-Powell. She's a socialist. Her family came from Ecuador, and they believe in socialism. So she won one term in Congress out of Miami. They threw her out because, you know what? They don't like socialism. So her best friend was AOC. She's voted 100% of the time with Nancy Pelosi. I don't think Nancy Pelosi could get elected in Florida. So here's an example of what she did. They asked her, said, why were you for the Green New Deal? I wasn't for the Green New Deal. No, she co-sponsored it. Then she said, well, why are you asking me something like from 2019? So, they don't want to take any responsibility for anything they've ever done. So she wants to open borders. She wants to defund the police. She wants to raise your taxes but give tax breaks to illegals. Think about this. This is Florida. Maybe Vermont. Maybe you could do that, but Florida. Mm-hmm. But they want to lie. They just go lie. They say that Republicans want to get rid of Medicare and Social Security, even though I have a bill that no Democrat will sign on to protect it. And they don't talk about the fact that Democrats cut Medicare by $280 billion a couple of years ago. Details. Why would you want to talk about that?
So how's it looking there?
She couldn't get a rally.
Yeah.
Did you hear this, Mark? She couldn't get a rally, so she came to ours and tried to push. She pushed campaign people. She pushed. Can you believe that? So the way I explained it is she came to our rally. We all decided we don't want any socialists in our rally, so we all said, no way. And it was in Miami. She pushed to try to get into a rally.
Mm-hmm. The last time I checked, there's a lot of people in Florida who've lived under communism and socialism, and they want nothing to do with it. So how's it looking now, 4 or 5 days before the election?
Well, we're working hard. I'm traveling every day. I'm basically hitting 1 or 2 cities a day. We're doing rallies. We're doing get out the vote efforts. We've got, right now Republicans are showing up like crazy, but there's 5 days left. And so you just, what you do in this job is you just do it every day. So if we win every day, today we had over 50,000 more Republicans than Democrats voted. So we now, we're heading the right direction, but Democrats are spending a lot of money. Schumer's throwing millions into the state, and it's just all a bunch of lies. So tomorrow I'll be in Tampa all day. We'll do get out the vote. We'll do door knocking. We'll do rallies. We'll go to voting sites to just rally. All we're doing is just getting people go vote. If you have an absentee ballot, get it in. If you can early vote, bank your vote. Like Trump says, let's swamp them. Let's get our votes in early so we don't have to worry about Election Day.
Mm-hmm. Well, Senator, you already got my vote because I sent mine in. I'm stuck here in Virginia, but I'm a resident of your state, which is a fantastic state. Here's the other thing.
Your wife, your mother-in-law.
Let me tell you.
Like I tell everybody, once your vote's in, you get everybody else's in, too.
That's right. Now, here's the thing. You've got a state like Florida. It really is one of the freest states in the country, one of the best-run states in the country, so forth and so on. And then these radical leftists, they try and hide under the cover of tens of millions of dollars.
Right.
Basically, they want to bring to Florida all the problems, all the disasters, all the crap that so many in other states have left in order to come to Florida, right? Isn't that why they hide what they really believe?
Yeah. I mean, nobody would vote for him if you said, hey, I want government schools and no private schools. Like we've got unbelievable school choice in our state. If you went out and said that, oh yeah, I just want government schools. I don't want you to have any choice. That's not a selling issue. I want to raise your taxes. That's what they do, but the Democrats don't want to say that. They want to say, no, there was those Republicans, they're going to raise your taxes. Right. So, yeah, they just lie. So we just got to, I tell people, we got to raise money. We got to get more volunteers. If you want to help us, go to rickscott.com. We've got volunteers. We've got people door knocking. We've got people making phone calls. We are getting ready we're hiring lawyers, getting ready for if they try to commit fraud election night. We are going to be ready to make sure we win and get back to the Senate. Then when we win that, I'm running to be the Republican leader, and hopefully we're going to have a majority, so I'll be the majority leader. So we actually maybe start solving some problems like balance to the budget, secure the border, make sure we're not at war all over the world, some logical things.
Mm-hmm. Does it look like with Donald Trump and your campaign that he's going to do quite well and you'll do quite well eventually?
I think so. I think there's no energy for the Democrats. I've hit every state, every county multiple times in Florida. There's so much energy. You see Trump signs everywhere. But I tell people, it doesn't matter what the polls say, because all the polls in my 2 governor's races and my Senate race before said I would lose. It's just how do you go vote? We've got to get people out to vote.
And voting day is still going to have a lot of people there, but do you still have open early voting in Florida right now?
Yeah. Yeah, we have early voting through Saturday night, and then some counties have it Sunday, but most of the counties still have it through, or they have it through Saturday night. And if we still have a lot of people with their mail-in ballots, haven't sent them in, so get those in. You got to make sure they're postmarked, but get them in as early as you can so you make sure they're voted. So what we want to do is win by such a wide margin all across the country. When they try to steal this election, they can't steal the election because we won by such a wide margin. Remember, Mark Elias, the Democrat lawyer, came down in 2018 after I won by 57,000 votes and said he's going to win through the courts. And thank God we had 1,000 lawyers, 7,000 volunteers, and we beat him, even though they committed fraud after the election day. So I just tell people, you got to work, be a poll watcher, be a poll worker, get your vote in. I mean, this is every election, everybody says it's the most important, but every time you look at how far left these Democrats have gone, it is the most important election of our lifetime.
It's not a debate over policy. They literally want to destroy this republic and our economic system and our borders, and they're working on it right now.
They hate our Constitution.
Yeah,
they want to pack the Supreme Court. What they want to do is just, if they do exactly what Castro did, they want to do exactly what Maduro did. They want to do exactly what Ortega's doing.
Senator Scott, God bless you. You have our full backing and endorsement. It's rickscott.com. Anybody who can help him, please do. Folks, vote early. Come on. It's so easy in Florida, it's not even funny. Vote early in Florida, all over the country. Vote early. Support your candidates so we can actually win. God bless you, my friend. We'll be right back. The big wireless carriers want to limit you to 2 choices when it comes to data, unlimited or unlimited. And guess what? Both are stupidly expensive. So folks, stop overpaying for data you're never going to use. That's like paying for a pot of coffee when you only need a cup, or filling your entire truck bed full of gas when you only need a tank. With Pure Talk, my cell phone company, you get to choose how much data you actually want. Listen to this. For just $25 a month, get unlimited talk, text, and 5 gigs of data, which is more than enough, plus mobile hotspot. Folks, stop overpaying for wireless and get America's best 5G coverage with Pure Talk. Go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's puretalk.com/LEVIN. Switching is easy. There's no contract. There's no activation fees. You can even keep your phone and your number. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin, LEVIN, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month when you sign up with Pure Talk.
It's morning again in America. Today, more men and women will go to work than ever before in our country's history. With interest rates at about half the record highs of 1980, nearly 2,000 families today will buy new homes, more than at any time in the past 4 years. This afternoon, 6,500 young men and women will be married. And with inflation at less than half of what it was just 4 years ago, they can look forward with confidence to the future. It's morning again in America. And under the leadership of President Reagan, our country is prouder and stronger and better. Why would we ever want to return to where we were less than 4 short years ago?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the America we want back. Patriotic, proud Americans who love our country. A government that reflects we the people, not a government that curses we the people. This is our country. It doesn't belong to the Democrat Party. It doesn't belong to Kamala Harris. It doesn't belong to the media, academia. It belongs to us. We the people. We fought for it. We build it. We secure it. We make it work. Not Washington, D.C., not the Democrat Party, not the miscreants and the malcontents, not the politicians, not the phony journalists. We do. You, Mr. and Mrs. America. We have a great history. Some people never got to see America. They died at the Revolutionary War. So many died at the Civil War to perfect this nation, for which they're not given credit today. There was the war to end all wars, World War I, which we don't even discuss anymore. World War II, the war that destroyed Nazi Germany, Tojo's Japan, Mussolini's Italy, saved the world. There was the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War, so many other wars. Look at these military cemeteries. Look at Arlington Cemetery. Look at the cemeteries on Normandy, all speckled throughout Europe and the rest of the world. Those are our men. Red-blooded Americans. They didn't fight for Marxism. They didn't fight for socialism. They didn't fight for open borders and Venezuelan gangs and MS-13 gangs. They didn't fight for ubiquitous centralized federal government that steals your property and steals your wealth. They didn't fight for AOC and Tlaib and Omar. They didn't fight for Biden. They didn't fight for Kamala Harris. They fought for you. You. The American people. The same people on the left who attack our soldiers and law enforcement. They attack our Declaration and our Constitution. They attack our institutions. And then they claim that they're for us. They're for democracy. Well, they call you Nazis. These people don't represent us. And yet they're 4 days away, 4 damn days away from controlling this country, from controlling it and taking it over and putting the final nail in the heart of this country. Not the communist Chinese, not the Russians, not the Iranians, the damn Democrat Party. The party of slavery and segregation and Jim Crow and eugenics. The party of Marxism and jihadis. That damnable party. The battles that Americans have fought. The Civil War battles, Gettysburg, 38,000 dead in one battle over 2 days. Vicksburg, the Wilderness, Chattanooga, Spotsylvania, and on and on and on and on. Over 700,000 dead. For us. They fought for us. Almost 500,000 dead in World War II. They fought for us. And we're about to lose everything because not enough of us will get off our asses and do something about it. I'm sick and tired of the celebrations in advance of the election. I'm sick and tired of the giddiness. I'm sick and tired of people on TV, maybe some on radio, I don't know, but on TV for sure, who keep telling us we're going to win. Well, maybe we will, but maybe we won't. But we got to fight. These people they're evil. They'll do anything. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
The big wireless carriers want to limit you to two choices when it comes to data, unlimited or unlimited. And guess what? Both are stupidly expensive. So folks, stop overpaying for data you're never going to use. That's like paying for a pot of coffee when you only need a cup, or filling your entire truck bed full of gas when you only need a tank. With Pure Talk, my cell phone company, you get to choose how much data you actually want. Listen to this. For just $25 a month, get unlimited talk, text, and 5 gigs of data, which is more than enough, plus mobile hotspot. Folks, stop overpaying for wireless and get America's best 5G coverage with Pure Talk. Go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's puretalk.com/LEVIN. Switching is easy. There's no contract. There's no activation fees. You can even keep your phone and your number. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin, LEVIN, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month when you sign up with Pure Talk. You know, when you put it in context and you think of all this country's been through, when you think of the literally millions of Americans who sacrificed their lives and their bodies so that we could live in freedom in a constitutional republic with a secure border, secure streets. And then you see what's happening to this country today. It's all falling apart. And then we have this demagogue running for president who's a nobody, who's accomplished absolutely nothing, who's barely literate, who has nothing to offer the American people, literally nothing, who's trying to turn each of us against each other with the Nazi propaganda and the fascist propaganda and her boss with the garbage propaganda. You know that's what they think of us. It's time to broom these people out. It's time to chase them out of Washington and all their supporters in the government who have secreted themselves in one cabinet position in one department and agency after another. It's time to get this country back and give our government back to you. That is, we the people. But if we the people don't act, if we the people don't show up, it's not going to matter. I hate to burst everybody's bubble, especially on cable TV, from Politico. No, I don't trust Politico. I despise these bastards. But just in case, Trump lagging an early vote with seniors in Pennsylvania, a red flag for Republicans. Democrats account for about 58% of the votes cast by seniors so far in Pennsylvania. Seniors typically a majority vote for us. For us, Donald Trump is lagging Harris in Pennsylvania early voting with a critical and once reliably Republican constituency, seniors. It's a warning sign for the former president that reflects early vote data and polling across the battlegrounds after Republicans won the senior vote in each of the last 5 presidential elections. This is why I think I'm the only one who keeps saying, stop celebrating on TV and radio. Maybe we can. God willing, we will. A big damn celebration. But this is a battle, and we're in the middle of the battle. And what the hell's going on in Pennsylvania and our senior citizens? Where are you? I'll be right back.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811. 877-381-3811. Let's listen to a little bit of Donald Trump today as he was in New Mexico. Cut 2, go.
And I'm announcing today a new step that I'll take to get emergency price relief to all Americans. On day one, I will sign an executive order directing every federal agency to immediately remove every single burdensome regulation driving up the cost of goods, that drive up the cost of goods. We have so many regulations that hurt our country. I cut more regulations times 4 than any president in the history of our country. And that's why we had the greatest economy in history. That's one of the reasons why. The other is I gave you the largest tax cut in the history of our country, including Ronald Reagan. Furthermore, I will create a new cabinet position for a senior member of my administration who will be tasked exclusively with doing everything in the federal government's power to reduce the cost of living. We have to. You not be able to live. And a lot of it is just the regulations and the rules and regulations, which are just a waste of time and money. And everybody, we need regulation, but I have seen regulations where they have 30 regulations for one subject, and the one subject doesn't even matter. All agencies will be judged daily on their progress in slashing the cost of household items. We're going to slash the cost, and this
now
will
listen,
be...
he makes these specific proposals to liberate our economy, to liberate commerce, to liberate you, to become successful. That's what he's doing. You don't hear any of this from Kamala Harris. Go ahead.
Regulatory reduction. It's going to be the largest regulatory reduction in the history of our country. And it's going to happen very fast. Using just very conservative estimates, we will save the typical household $7,000 in the first year alone.
Yeah. I mean, he is all for the middle class. Cut 3, go.
She just says anything that comes to her mind. She's a liar. She's worse than Crooked Hillary. At least Hillary was intelligent. She was a very intelligent one. This one is a total stiff. You can't have her as your president. You know, she talks about unity. Oh, unity, unity. Oh, yeah, unity. By the way, he's like Hitler. He reminds me of Hitler. He's a fascist. She's talking about we're going to have unity, and then she calls me a fascist in the next sentence. This is the worst unifier. And, you know, Biden was bad, but you know who was a really bad unifier? Barack Hussein Obama. He was a horrible unifier. Horrible.
No question about that. Kamala Harris with ABC News yesterday. Cut 4, go.
You are promising to bring people together, even people you disagree with. You say, well, have a seat at the table. How do you convince Trump supporters of that, though, when you're calling their candidate a would-be dictator, a petty tyrant?
I am talking to everyone as an American.
I'm talking to everyone as an American. Really? I thought you were talking to everybody as a, what? Uzbekistani? What kind of stupid comments are these? Anyway, go ahead. Regardless of who you voted for in the last election, she says. Where's she ever been a unifier? In the Senate, we've had Republican senators on here say she was a bomb thrower. She was hard left. She would never get together to discuss legislation, not once. Where's there any evidence that she's a unifier? There's no evidence whatsoever. Zero. Cut 5, go.
I know you have said that this is a campaign about substance, not identity, but I'm sure it's crossed your mind. What do you think about when you envision the history that you may make?
I'm fully aware.
Come on. You know what? Stop. Was this a joke? Is this a joke? What do you think when you envision of the history that you would make? Is that a serious question in advance of an election, America? Shh. But don't worry, she's going to bring the country together. How do we know? She said so. Cut 6, go.
I do believe that this is a choice about two very different directions for our country. Mm-hmm. And the choice being offered by Donald Trump is about going backward.
Hey, don't worry about the choice being offered by Donald Trump, because you're a liar. He's not going backwards. He's the one talking about unleashing the economy, giving people who earn a minimum wage and so forth a break. No tax on tips. That was his idea. No tax on overtime. That was his idea. credits and tax deductions for family members who take care of other family members. That was his idea. No tax on Social Security. That's his idea. None of them are her ideas. What's her idea? Let me give $1 million to black business owners. Oh, by the way, that's unconstitutional. You can't give money away based on race. She's an idiot. But don't worry, she's a lawyer. Like I said, she's an idiot. Oh, we'll give $50,000 to this one, $25,000 to buy a house over here. That's right, we'll forgive student loans. None of this is going to put bread on the table. None of this is going to lower utility prices. None of it. None of this is going to make it easier to make ends meet. She has no health care proposal. She's got nothing. Nothing. Well, we don't want a health care proposal from her anywhere. Medicare, open Medicare to illegal aliens. I read a report today. That happens. Medicare goes broke. Absolutely broke within years. She is a threat to senior citizens. She is a threat to law-abiding Americans. Let us not forget, she's revealed herself. She's shown a lot of ankle. When she made a donation and pushed donations to an organization that would go into court to get released hoodlums, criminals from the 2020 riots. She did that. She pushed a defund movement, even though she lies about it now. She was a full-grown adult then. Defund the police. She backed Black Lives Matter, which, by the way, ripped off more people than anybody I can think of. She throws in with all these radical organizations and all these radical ideas. She's thrown in with the jihadis. The Israelis know it. The Israelis overwhelmingly are supporting Donald Trump. They know it. Kamala Harris is on the wrong side of every damn issue. Boys and girls sports, men and women's sports. Oh, but she's for women, don't worry. We can't define them, but she's for them. Why? Because apparently women are one-dimensional. All they care about is abortion. And with Kamala Harris, she's not even talking about abortion. She's talking about infanticide. When you kill a baby in the birth canal, that's not abortion. It wasn't abortion under Roe v. Wade. It's not abortion in any country on the face of the earth. It's murder. That's what it is. And that's what it was under Roe v. Wade. But don't worry. She's got all kinds of support for women, except all those who are now sex slaves on the southern border. Except all those kids, 325,000 of them who are missing, many of whom are sold into pornography and sex slavery. Good job, Kamala. Not my job. Not my job. The buck doesn't stop with her, as Harry Truman said. The buck never stops with her. Turn the page. New leadership. We've got a future. No, we've got an idiot. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
We're here with our friend Representative Mike Lawler in New York's 17th Congressional District, where he's fighting for his re-election. Mike, how are you? And we need an update. How's it going?
I'm doing well, Mark. Thanks for having me on. Things are going very well with 5 days to go. Last public poll that came out just the other day had us up 5. We have our final debate tomorrow on Pix 11 in New York. And, I feel very good. Speaker Johnson was in town today in my district campaigning with us. We had a great rally in support of our GOTV efforts. And, as we've talked about before, this is a 2-to-1 Democratic district, 80,000 more Democrats than Republicans. Joe Biden won it by 10 points 4 years ago. But President Trump is polling very well in the district. He's been consistently at around 48, 49 in the district in every poll, public and private. And so, I think we're poised for a big win on Tuesday.
You have a lot of police officers in your district, don't you?
I do. 50% of households in my district have a cop, a firefighter, or a veteran living in the household. A lot of New York City, cops and firefighters, and within each of my municipalities, we have, police departments and fire departments. So a lot of first responders, volunteers that live in the district, and and obviously care about the issues of public safety, the migrant crisis, the affordability crisis that we're dealing with under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And, we've been endorsed by every PBA in New York. My opponent, Mondaire Jones, he's someone who called cops racist and white supremacists, supported defunding the police and cashless bail, wanted to give cop killers the right to vote from prison.
Wow, he sounds like a sweetheart.
Yeah, he's a real peach.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's the thing. Your district includes a number... Well, let's do it this way. Remind the public some of the towns that are in your district.
I have Chappaqua, where the Clintons live. I have Bedford, where...
Have you ever gone door to door there and knocked on their door and say, "Would you vote for me"? That would be funny.
I've talked to the former president once before, but no, we haven't gone door knocking there. Although maybe tonight would be a good night on Halloween.
Well, it is Halloween, yeah, exactly.
But we have Carmel, the town of Carmel, Somers, Yorktown. We have Mount Pleasant. I live in Pearl River. A lot of cops and firefighters over there in Rockland County. It's Rockland, Northern Westchester, Putnam, and Dutchess counties, so immediate suburbs of New York City.
I love that area. I mean, it's really like
a great community.
It is. It's like red-blooded America. It really is. And your opponent, though, is not like red-blooded America. He's a red-blooded American, but he's also a whack job. He's a Marxist, in my view, and he despises the state of Israel. Is that not true?
Absolutely. This is someone who's called himself a socialist. He was endorsed by AOC, Bernie Sanders, and Elizabeth Warren. He voted 98% of the time with the squad. He called for, in our debate last week, he called for Israel to go back to pre-1967 borders and for Jerusalem to be divided between Israel and Palestine.
Sure.
This is someone who, claims he supports Israel now because this district has one of the largest Jewish communities in America, but voted 4 times against Iron Dome in the NDAA. By contrast, Mark, I've passed more legislation to support Israel and combat anti-Semitism than any member of Congress in this session. We've passed the Special Envoy for the Abraham Accords to focus on normalizing relations between Israel and Arab states like Saudi Arabia. We passed the SHIP Act and the Iran-China Energy Sanctions Act, take on the illicit oil trade between China and Iran to the tune of $200 billion under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. What they've allowed to happen with this illicit oil trade that is funding their nuclear program, funding Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, funding the ballistic missiles. They lifted sanctions that President Trump put in place. They tried to renegotiate the Iran nuclear deal. That's why we're dealing with this catastrophe in the Middle East right now. And frankly, I don't think people have recognized what a disaster Joe Biden and Kamala Harris created by trying to appease Iran and allowing this illicit oil trade to ensue, so much so that obviously it has funded all the terrorist attacks. It's funded the ballistic missile attacks. And then you look at the vice president, and she's saying, "Don't go into Rafah." If Bibi followed her advice, Sinwar would still be alive. Today at our rally in Rockland County with Speaker Johnson, I had an IDF soldier, a part of Unit 450, that killed Sinwar. He's a resident of mine, he's a constituent, American.
Wow.
But he came back today and came to the rally. It was great to see him. But he was there. His unit is the one that killed Sinwar.
Kamala Harris keeps saying she's going to bring the country together. She's busy in her surrogates calling people who support Trump neo-Nazis and fascists and garbage, Biden. Have you ever seen a campaign, Mike Lawler, even before you got into politics, or did you ever imagine a campaign where people are running against we the people? Have you ever seen anything like this in your life?
It's truly remarkable. I mean, Hillary Clinton 8 years ago called half the country a basket full of deplorables. You got the president of the United States calling Trump supporters garbage. Kamala Harris obviously, has supported so many extreme policies over the years, including defunding the police, and including open borders, wanting to stop border wall, supporting government-run health care. The policies that they are putting forth are so destructive to the country. And my opponent, Mondaire Jones, agrees with Kamala Harris, hook, line, and sinker. And the challenge here is this. My district and the districts in New York are going to be the ones that determine control of Congress. And we flipped these seats 2 years ago. And obviously the Democrats recognize that their only pathway back to the majority is through New York. They're spending tens of millions of dollars to prop up far-left candidates, including my opponent. But this district is going to determine the outcome. And if folks want to help us, they can go to LawlerForCongress.com or text Lawler to 85007 to give us a last-minute push to get over the finish line on Tuesday.
You know, Mike, what have we had, Rich? About 20 House candidates on the program. We have focused on all these tight races, and I've done 5 out of New York because I agree with you. There are other places in the country, too, but not as many as in New York. We got to win these seats in New York. They're very, very important if we're going to hold a majority, let alone build on the majority. And I think you guys, Mike, you and the others, you're very, very solid people, and you're running great races. And you're running against the odds, and you're running against the numbers. Your opponent is a really loathsome, radical leftist, and I'm sure the people in your district know it. LawlerForCongress.com, LawlerForCongress.com. He is my strong support. Mike, go get him, baby. We'll be keeping an eye on it.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. Take care, everyone.
You too. If you can help them, folks, help them. All these people need help, and we'll be right back.
Mark Levin. The Thunder on the right. Call in now. 877-381-3811.
Matt Lee is a fantastic reporter at AP. I think he's been there about 120 years. And he's going at it with this guy, Matt Miller, who's just another one of these State Department spokes idiots. And they're going back and forth over a Palestinian consulate in Israel, probably Jerusalem, even though it's all Israeli territory in their country, and the Israelis say, no, we're not going to permit a Palestinian consulate, and yet this administration and other Democrat administrations have been trying to pressure Israel to do it, and Israel said no. So that's part of the debate that you're going to hear. Legislation that addresses this issue, that is legislation in Congress, which would support the state of Israel. I mean, it's their country, after all. It doesn't belong to the rat's nest of anti-Semites at the State Department in this administration. So anyway, even putting the substance aside somewhat, if you want, take a listen to this. This guy's good, this Matt Lee. Cut 20, go.
Can I just follow up in your response on the consulate? What's your view on whether on the legality? You probably don't want to take legal questions per se, but it's legislation there saying that the U.S. can't establish a consulate. It's a diplomatic facility. Obviously, Israel has control over land, etc. But does the U.S. have to abide by this?
You're right. It's a legal question that unfortunately I'm unqualified to answer. I don't know the answer.
So first of all, that's not Lee. That's some other fool. That's some reporter. Does the U.S. have to abide by legislation that says there will not be a Palestinian consulate? It's a legal question. Tough one, I guess. Go ahead.
Policy grounds.
Well, considering the U.S. government, previous administration actually closed down the consulate, is it it's your understanding that was just a decision by one administration? It's not binding on you. You want to reopen it. They say no. So if they're not going to let you reopen it, would you consider requiring Israel to shut down one or more of its consulates in the United States?
So, first of all, you're right. The previous administration made a policy decision made a policy decision to shut down that embassy.
That's not an embassy. It's a consulate. Go ahead.
I'm not going to talk about what our potential response. We're not considering any such step at this time, but we've made quite clear to the government of Israel that we oppose the bill.
Well, yes, okay. But do you regard this as some kind of an infringement on your I mean, where the consulate was, or the building still is in Israel. So it's not in the Palestinian territory. would you consider opening a consulate, say, in Ramallah for the Palestinians?
Open a consulate in Ramallah. I don't even know what that means. The Palestinians open their own consulate in Ramallah? Anyway, go ahead.
Now consider, we want to see, we continue to believe it's important to open a consulate, but I don't want to get into what we may or may not do.
Well, so you oppose the legislation, and yet it is Israel, it's their territory. Right. And I don't think that the place where the consulate is located it's not contested. It is in West Jerusalem, I believe. Is that right? Yeah. So it's theirs, and they can tell you that they want you to have this consulate open there or not. But and there may be legitimate reasons for not wanting to have a consulate that is dedicated to serving the Palestinians in Israel, right? Yes?
Well, they can speak for themselves what their reasons may or may not be. We disagree. We disagree with their decision to prevent us from opening one.
Why is it so important, other than the historical nature of this?
The historical nature of it is important. That is an important one.
Yes, it is. But other than that, is there a reason that a consulate for the Palestinians couldn't be opened someplace else?
I don't want to get into previewing what we may or may not do. I will tell you, as of today, we'll continue to provide engagement.
Shut up, a-hole. Rambling buffoon. So the Israelis said, we're not going to have a Palestinian consulate in Jerusalem or anywhere else in our country. Do you guys have some consulate that another country or another organization can set up in your country? Not without your permission. And that's what the AP report is getting at. It's their country. What are you going to do? You're going to threaten them? Anyway, I just thought you'd want to hear the back and forth, the inanity of the Harris-Biden regime, and that's what it is. It's a regime. Now, we want to play for your little montage of what these Democrats have been calling you and me, from garbage to deplorables. Be a little hard to hear at the end. Obama, cling to guns. They really hate your guts. And so it seems to me you owe them a crushing defeat on Election Day. Something has got to drive people who aren't voting early or not voting on Election Day to stand up for themselves, don't you think? Cut 14, go.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
You could put half of Trump's supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. The racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it.
People have been beaten down so long, and they feel so betrayed by government.
So it's not surprising then that they get bitter and they cling to guns or religion or...
Yes, you're clinging to your guns and religion. That's that part. Mm-hmm.
Like that, right?
That's enough. Barack Obama's on Al Sharpton's radio show. Talks about Trump has made a career out of demeaning people of color. This is amazing. So he's on Al Sharpton's radio show. Al Sharpton, who has a history with Jewish people in Crown Heights, among other places. And so Obama goes to Al Sharpton. What is Obama? I mean, Obama, he parachutes in. The guy's worth tens of millions of dollars. He's got mansions all over the place. He has nothing in common today with young black men. Nothing. Zero. He lives mostly with older white men. I'm being perfectly honest with you. Or in their neighborhoods or around them. There's nothing in common. Cut 11, go.
When it comes to the African-American community, Latino community, people who historically have been on the outside, you have in Donald Trump somebody who consistently has shown disregard to people who are not like him.
How so? I really want to know how. Tell me one way that he's done that. When he was a businessman, you know, Donald Trump has hired more black people and given them jobs and pensions and medical care in building the skyline in New York and elsewhere than any of these people attacking him. Any of them. Obama hasn't lifted a finger, and he didn't as President of the United States, to improve the lot of black people, whether it was school choice or 100 other things. But they just throw these things out. Hitler, fascist, racist, made a career out of demeaning people of color. No, he's never made a career out of demeaning people of color. In fact, people of color came to him for criminal justice reform. They'd begged Obama. He didn't lift a finger. They begged FDR to eliminate lynching inside a federal anti-lynching bill, and he wouldn't do it. Donald Trump signs a bill, shepherded through the Senate and the rest of Congress by Tim Scott, to create over 8,000 opportunity zones where enormous investments are made by the private sector and, yes, government to get people on their feet and to improve these certain communities. Over 8,000. Obama didn't do any of that. None of it. People of color. Donald Trump doesn't like illegal aliens coming into the country. He doesn't care who they are or where they're from. He doesn't like criminals in our streets. He doesn't care what color they are or where they're from or they're homegrown. He believes in law enforcement. He's tough on the law. These things that Obama says on Al Sharpton's radio show of all places is really disgusting. It's disgusting. He's trying everything. Go ahead.
You know, I don't have to tell you. This is somebody who...
you don't have to tell who? Sharpton? Why? He has his ear to the ground? Is that it? We go to Sharpton for input on somebody's character like Donald Trump? Is this serious? This is a clown operation here. Sharpton's radio show. Anybody even know he had a radio show? No, I don't think so. Pathetic. Pathetic. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Here's some breaking news. Arizona court rules Maricopa County, that's Phoenix, must disclose list of non-citizens currently registered to vote. Hat tip to Governor Youngkin. He started this. American First Legal has won a big victory at the Arizona Superior Court, which has ordered Maricopa County to provide a list of all non-citizens who are registered to vote. That list may be as high as 218,000 voters who are registered to vote but have not provided proof of citizenship, which is required by Arizona state law. Arizona Secretary of State said a computer glitch, she's a real leftist, had allowed these non-citizens to register to vote. The SOS then violated state law by not disclosing this list to the public upon request, claimed it could result in violence against those on the list. The court rejected that argument and ruled that Maricopa County must provide this list of non-citizens to American First Legal. And, of course, the reason is the Supreme Court just ruled about non-citizens, that they can be pulled off these lists. Because it's a crime under federal law, and I'm sure it's a crime under state law. Ladies and gentlemen, do you notice that it is the Democrat secretaries of state, it is the Democrats who are resisting all these challenges to non-citizens voting? Have you noticed that? And then the media, right behind them, like the American Pravda crap that they are you saying that there's not proper elections going on here? That's right, dimwit. All right, Mr. Producer, let's see here. We've got a few calls, which I want to take. Had some good callers in recent days. All right, let's go to Tony, Clifton, New Jersey, the great WABC. Tony, go. Go.
Hi, Mark Levin. Listen,
Hi, Tony.
I've had William McKinley on. Hi, Mark Levin. I've had William McKinley on my mind as you've discussed him for tariffs, etc. But I've had him on my mind for many reasons: for his early taking, of us from our country, for his realigning the Republican Party, for being a steel person, a magnet, like with his dad and the family. And I've had him on my mind, and he also acquired Puerto Rico. God love him. I just want to say that he is on my mind because I worry about President Trump. And I want
Boy,
to
McKinley must be on your mind, Tony.
He is. He said two things I wanted to share with you.
Yes.
More than anything I could say. He said, I am for America because America is for the common people. Number two, the liberty to make our laws does not give us the freedom nor the license, as we've seen in this current administration, to break our laws. So,
it's beautifully put, and I'm glad you quoted him. We stand on the shoulders of the generation before us. And Kamala Harris and her party, let's just be honest, they are chopping down the generations that are behind us at the knees. They're kneecapping them. We can't allow one generation of radical leftists to destroy this country. That's what this election's about. This is no joke. Tony, thank you for your call. Peyton, Savannah, Georgia, the great WGIG. Peyton or Payton? Which is it, Peyton or Payton?
Hey, Mark, my name's Peyton. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. I wanted to come on here as a young voter myself. I'm 22, and I voted for Trump the first time in 2020 when I was 18, and I proudly voted for him again the first day early voting was available in my state, which I believe was the 15th, but I could be wrong. But anyways, I wanted to urge any young people who are on the fence about voting to not wait any longer. The last day for early voting in Georgia is tomorrow. If you're just turning 18, go register so you can vote on Election Day. Don't wait anymore, and do not hesitate come Election Day either. There are too many people in my age group who are indecisive on voting based on what's going in our young society and on the legacy media. Ignore what the legacy media says about Trump. It's all propaganda and lies. Democrats have owned the White House the last 12 of the 16 years, and somehow everything is still blamed on Trump. Mm-hmm. And Mark, I don't know if you've seen this or not. You may have, where conservative political commentators on YouTube are trying to be silenced by the New York Times. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to...
No, I've seen
YouTube.
that.
Yes.
Well, here's the deal. You can't rely on YouTube. I don't. We have a YouTube channel, but we have other platforms and so forth, because whether it's Google, whether it's them, whether it's these other ones, I mean, it's very difficult to stop them. And they've been working YouTube hand in hand with the New York Times, haven't they?
Right. And you see it with...
And Media Matters, which is a Soros front group, right? So they're using Media Matters research with the New York Times story to influence YouTube. You know what we call that, my friend? Fascism. They like to use the word. They're the fascists, aren't they, Peyton? Great call, my friend. Thank you very much. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers, the men and women in Ukraine, our brothers and sisters in Israel. Looks like you're in for another battle. We have your back. Ladies and gentlemen, vote, vote, and vote. Get people out to vote. Don't sit on your laurels or we're going to lose this country. I'll see you tomorrow.